Welcome back as today's shocking story. Let's go the fall of the invincible. Ilia Malinen's Olympic dream shattered. The Milano ice rink hummed with electric anticipation on Friday, February 13, 2026, as Ilia Malinin stepped onto the ice for what seemed destined to be his coronation. The 21-year-old American had arrived in Italy as figure skating's undisputed king, a technical virtuoso who had spent 2 years obliterating the sport's boundaries. 14 straight victories at major competitions had built an aura of invincibility around him. After his short program, he held a commanding 5-point lead. The individual gold medal appeared to be a formality, a perfect complement to the team gold already secured days earlier. But when Malinen's 4-minute free skate concluded, the arena didn't erupt in celebration. Instead, a stunned, suffocating silence descended upon the crowd of 10,000. What they had witnessed wasn't the coronation of a champion, it was the unraveling of one. Ilia Malinin didn't just lose the gold medal that night. He suffered a catastrophic meltdown that sent him plummeting from first place to a shocking 15th overall. His free skate score of 156.33 was more than 80 points below his personal best. As the final notes of his music faded, Malinin didn't strike his typical confident pose. Instead, he covered his face with trembling hands, shaking his head in disbelief. It was the most stunning collapse in modern Olympic figure skating history. On a night when destiny seemed written in his favor, Ilia Malinin proved he was mortal after all. The impossible program. To understand the magnitude of this collapse, you must first understand the audacious ambition of Malinen's program. He hadn't come to Milano merely to win. He came to execute the most difficult routine ever attempted at an Olympic Games. His free skate contained 7 quadruple jumps, anchored by the quadruple axel, a jump only he could consistently land in competition. For 2 seasons, Malinin had operated with what the figure skating community called a mathematical cushion. The astronomical base value of his jumps meant he could afford mistakes and still outscore competitors performing cleaner but simpler programs. He had built a strategic advantage that seemed bulletproof. But this technological density came with a hidden vulnerability. When you push so close to the edge of human capability, there's no margin for error. When the first element fails, the momentum doesn't just stop, it reverses. The entire structure becomes unstable. And in Milano, Malinin entered the free skate appearing invincible. He'd been landing clean quadruple axels in practice all week at the U.S. training facility in Bergamo. But the weight of being called the quad god carries consequences. It implies mechanical perfection, immunity to the psychological pressures that had broken champions like Yuzuru Hanyu and Michel Kwan. In Milano, the mathematics finally failed him. The burden of being the overwhelming favorite affected his timing, shortened his rotation, compromised his execution. For the first time, his cushion wasn't enough to save him. The catastrophe unfolds. The nightmare began exactly 13 seconds into his program. Malinin opened with a massive quadruple flip and landed it cleanly. The crowd roared, convinced they were about to witness a masterpiece. But then came the quadruple axel, his signature element, 4.5 revolutions of technical wizardry that defined his career. Something was wrong from the moment of takeoff. His axis tilted. In a split-second decision to avoid a devastating crash, he abandoned the jump mid-air, reducing it to a single axel. The energy in the arena transformed instantly. You could feel the air leave the building as 10,000 people held their breath simultaneously. Malinin typically possessed the mental fortitude to recover from a single mistake, but not this time. He looked rattled, uncertain. He downgraded a planned quadruple loop to a double. Then came the first fall, a hard, sliding crash on his signature quadruple Lutz. The crowd gasped audibly. It was as if he were skating through quicksand. By the time he approached his quadruple salchow in the second half of the program, the quad god was in complete freefall. He slammed into the ice a second time, his face twisted in anguish and frustration. The gold medal was no longer a possibility. He wasn't even thinking about medals anymore. He was just trying to survive to the end. Technical analysts estimated that Malinin's jumping errors cost him approximately 72 points. His final combined score of 264.49 was a ghost of the 300-plus totals he'd become famous for. Commentators like Johnny Weir and Tara Lipinski sat nearly speechless, visibly emotional as they watched the carnage unfold. But the most heartbreaking moment didn't happen on the ice. It happened afterward, in the mixed zone, when a shaken Malinin faced NBC's Andrea Joyce. "I completely blew it," he said, his voice cracking. "That's honestly the first thing that came into my mind. I can't wrap my head around what just happened." The mental breaking point. For the first time, the public saw the psychological toll of the quad god persona. Malinin admitted he couldn't handle the pressure of being the prohibitive favorite. He spoke about the thoughts that invaded his mind as he took his starting position, the weight of representing his country, the fear of failure, the assumption that he was invincible. And he made one crucial observation about his journey. Perhaps he'd been overconfident. He thought that because he'd put in the work, the free skate would simply happen. He also referenced the ghost of 2022. Despite finishing second at U.S. Nationals, he was controversially left off the Olympic team for Beijing. Today, he acknowledged that his lack of Olympic experience may have been his undoing. While his competitors had been forged in the crucible of Beijing, Ilia was a first-timer during the biggest moment of his life. He wasn't a machine. He was a 21-year-old who'd never felt the entire planet's eyes on him before. The unique, crushing atmosphere of an Olympic final overwhelmed him. He hadn't been a god at all, he'd been human. An unexpected champion emerges while the world mourned Malinin's fall. History was being written on the other side of the podium. Mikhail Shidorov, a 21-year-old from Kazakhstan, delivered the performance of his lifetime. Coming into the free skate, Shidorov sat in fifth place, generally considered a long shot for bronze at best. But as the favorites, Malinin, Yuma Kageyama, and Adam Siohim Fa, all crumbled under pressure, Shidorov remained steady. He landed 5 clean quadruple jumps and earned a personal best technical score of 114.68. Skating to the high-energy diva dance from The Fifth Element, he electrified the Italian crowd. When he finished, he collapsed to the ice in disbelief. Even then, he didn't think he'd won gold. He sat in the leader's chair and watched, one by one, as the sports legends fell short. When Malinin's score finally appeared, placing the American in 7th, Shidorov realized the impossible had happened. He was the Olympic champion. It was Kazakhstan's first-ever figure skating gold medal, a historic achievement honoring the legacy of the late Denis Ten. The final podium shocked everyone. Shidorov with gold, Japan's Yuma Kageyama with a hard-fought but imperfect silver, and Shun Sato with bronze. In the locker room afterward, Malinin immediately sought out Shidorov to congratulate him. In his darkest hour, Ilia showed incredible grace. "I'm just so proud of him," Malinin said of the new champion. "He showed what this sport is really about." What comes next? Does this loss destroy the quad god's legacy? In many ways, this defeat may become the most defining moment of Ilia Malinin's career. For 2 years, he'd been viewed as a technical anomaly, a jumping machine without artistic soul. By showing vulnerability, by failing on the sport's biggest stage, he's made himself human to a global audience. He persevered. Despite the popped axle, despite both falls, he kept going. In the final seconds, driven by pure pride, he executed a quadruple toe triple toe combination. He showed he could take his final bow after absorbing the hardest punch of his life. The figure skating world has been blown wide open. The era of Malinin's technical inevitability has ended. The 2027 World Championships and the build-up to the next Olympics will be more competitive than ever. Ilia now knows that when your mind isn't right, mathematics can't save you. He's already vowed to return. "I'm still processing what happened, but I know it's over," he said. "I can't change the result. I just need to learn from this." At just 21, he's still credited with revolutionizing the technical standards of the sport. But he leaves Milano as someone who learned that the number of rotations in the air doesn't guarantee gold. It's earned in the battle against the silence of the arena, in the moment when you fall and have to find the strength to stand back up. Ilia Malinin's greatest achievement in 2026 didn't look like a gold medal. It looked like the tears in the mixed zone. It looked like his handshake with Mikhail Shidorov. It looked like the realization that being the best is a journey, not a destination. He came to Milano to be a god. He left as something far more powerful, a human being who knows what it feels like to shatter on the ice in front of the world and then find the courage to rise again. Mikhail Shidorov will be recorded in history as the 2026 Olympic gold medalist. Ilia Malinin will be listed as finishing in 15th place. But the story that will be told for generations is the night the quad god revealed he had a heart. Ilia Malinin didn't win his gold. But in his failure, he gave the sport something it desperately needed, a reminder that the Olympics can't be reduced to equations. They're measured in heartbeats. The quad god isn't finished. He's only just beginning. Milano has gone quiet now. The ice is resurfacing. And somewhere, Ilia Malinin is already preparing for his next jump.